Good morning. This is Joe Welch from Core Restaurant Marketing. And with me today, I'm going to have Dustin Stone, who's the corporate chef at Food Pro. And we're going to talk about a couple of things revolving menu management and what's gone on, with pre-COVID, things you should have already been doing, and then kind of the changes we've seen with COVID. So good morning, Dustin. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm great, Joe.
That's good. Good. Dustin, one of the things that, I want to talk about is you've seen a lot of changes with COVID. What has been the most profound change you've probably seen on the impact on back of the house operations?
Well, probably the biggest one is the lost revenue that we had, during the shutdowns. A lot of restaurants' budgets are strained. There's also a super huge increase to carry out and third-party deliveries versus dine-in customers. And then everybody seems to be struggling with labor right now.
I was talking with a customer up in Maryland, and they were just instituting online ordering, and they were hesitant to start it up because they just said, we're not sure what the impact of basically all online ordering is coming into the kitchen, and they still had some regular dine-in business. How has that impacted the back of the house, the online ordering when it's new to you, and then the regular dine-in business?
Well, the shift has been dramatic. I mean, I have a customer that did a lot of catering, and obviously catering has suffered. She lost 55% of her business of catering on the catering side, but it increased 50% on the DoorDash and the Uber Eats side of it. So we see a huge shift in that. Packaging is also important, and food presentations. So it has been a struggle. A lot of chefs are trying to figure out, how do I make this thing to where it goes out and it looks good when it gets home. It's easy to put it on a plate, goes out in the dining room in front of somebody. But how do I do that so that my food quality isn't compromised when it gets to
when you put it in styrofoam and the box turns upside down, it kind of loses its appeal. Yeah, I've seen that, and personally, I've experienced it firsthand. And packaging is important. There's a place that my wife and I got something for takeout, and then I brought it home, and I put it on the counter, and then I moved it to another counter, and the package broke. The styrofoam was flimsy and all that. So my dinner that I was looking forward to was on the kitchen floor. So packaging is extremely important, and all those kinds of things. Have you seen the online ordering impact their inventory management in any way?
With the shift that I'm seeing, it's almost the same volume, or it's not quite the same yet. Of course, we haven't gotten as busy as we'd like to, but the major focus is probably having enough to-go items on there, where a lot of restaurants used to have just a box of to-go boxes for people that dine in and take stuff home, and then they throw it in a doggy bag and send it along. And now we have to have a full line of disposable products so that we can package soups, and we can package this dish, and maybe I want this one to go into this kind of container. So the focus on disposable items, what's the right one to have, and do I have enough on hand, is I think probably the biggest impact on the inventory in the restaurants.
Okay. Have you seen where the amount of items on the menu has shrunk for online?
Oh, of course, yeah. And if people haven't done that already, they should probably think really hard on reducing the offerings on their menus so that they can focus on having fewer items on hand.
Obviously that gets into the impact on inventory management. So have you seen any changes in the way they do inventory, or we're just flying by the seat of our pants?
Unfortunately, a lot of people are doing that. We struggled figuring out volume during normal times, and now that COVID's here, some restaurants are super busy on this day, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. So it is a little bit more difficult to manage your inventory. But if you reduce the amount of items on your menu, then you have less spoilage on hand, which can definitely impact your food costs and your inventory management.
Okay. Has the efficiency in the kitchen gotten any better during COVID? And I guess what goes with that is, do you think that will carry on as we come out of COVID?
Well, labor is a huge issue right now from what I'm hearing on the streets. I mean, people are putting ads out there to hire people, and that obviously impacts your efficiency if you don't have enough people on hand. Also, restaurants that have been typically dine-in historically are seeing increase to go orders, and they don't really have systems in place to manage that. So hiring other people or shifting your labor to where we have a dedicated expo person for to-go orders managing all of this, because you walk into some places and you just see bags with people's names on it, and that can be a little bit hairy, especially for the staff in a restaurant. So shifting positions for the staff is also very helpful as well, and I have seen a lot of people struggle with that.
Clearly the chains have done a great job with that kind of thing. Are the independents anywhere near that? Are they lagging behind, or can they catch up? Or
Oh, of course. I mean, anything's possible, but I don't know that a lot of people are focusing on that. I've seen some independents do really well and implement systems right ahead and stay ahead of the curve. And then some of them just kind of waited back to take it, and those are the ones that are struggling. So it should definitely be on the front of every chef's mind on, hey, how am I going to change my flow here?
Yeah. Let's talk about food costs for a minute. You work for a food distributor. Where do you folks see food inflation costs going for the future?
Well,
let's say the future is a year.
well, retail inflation, and that's the stuff at the grocery stores and the Walmarts and everything, has gone up 1% to 2%, and it's estimated to stay at that rate. On the food service side, however, the one that we deal with the restaurants and institutions, that's almost double, from 2% to 3% inflation. So folks definitely need to pay attention to that. Now is not the time to try and offer discounts on food. For our operators, I believe everybody has an opportunity right now, especially with the majority of the population that has avoided restaurants for the past year. I think now is a better time than ever to reevaluate, take that into consideration, and change your menu pricing to curb that. I mean, it's going up on the retail side, and it's causing all kinds of trouble. Labor shortage is really driving that. The supply chain is hurting because manufacturers don't have people to manufacture the products, and they're also struggling because there's a huge spike in retail, obviously, because people are cooking more at home and eating at home more, which has caused the supply for the food service to kind of struggle. So, I mean, there are definitely some challenges, but now's the time probably to reevaluate your menu costs and pricing, especially since, your third-party delivery systems are such a big part, and they charge a premium price for their services. So a lot of operators need to think about that when they're changing their menus.
You bring up a really good point, that if food costs in food service is going up 4% to 5%, let's say, and labor, I mean, people can't find labor right now. We know that. And many people are struggling, and you're going to have to pay more. It's simple as that to get good quality people. So you take that, and let's say food and labor inflation rate goes to 8, even 10%. And yet I still see some people have not updated their menu pricing at all over 2 years. I mean, there's still some of that out there. So to me, I look at it as, you got to get on the game here, or, you made it through the really, really hard times. Now you're going to strangle yourself to death. If you stay up on that side. So that's a problem. But in the kitchen, other than food costs and labor costs, are there things that they can do to improve the efficiency and profitability in the back of the house?
Well, you have to look at your mix, obviously, and we've talked about that with the to-go orders, the shift from this part of my business that was before COVID, and now what things look like now, and just taking a long, hard look at that. And maybe instead of having 2 fry cooks, one of the fry cooks comes over and helps expedite, and but definitely shifting labor to different positions so that it flows well, and using expediters and food runners is definitely helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think that, managing your labor better in the back, along with inventory management, tightening up your menu, they're all ways to improve your profitability. It's funny that a lot of folks that did that during COVID, yeah, they lost some business, but I know a lot of restaurants that are more profitable now because they did a very good job.
Exactly. And also, you have um, QR codes for menus now, and people are printing them on paper so that they're not, using the same menu over and over because of contact. And that also gives an opportunity to adjust your menu pricing
Yeah,
on the regular.
yeah. Actually, some restaurants have taken that QR code process, and when the consumer scans it, it goes right to an online ordering form, and the consumer can order from there, right to the POS system, to the back of the house and everything. So, contactless payment and ordering, I think, is going to gain more of a foothold from now on. So,
I think the consumer is moving that direction anyway, even before all this happens.
yeah, it's funny. I deal with an online ordering company who's a partner that we work with, and they made a comment to me that where that industry expected the business to be 10 years from now, it got there in 7 months. I mean, it's just, yeah, the consumer took it, ran with it. Restaurants are running with it. Some are still not there, but they're recognizing they got to be there in the future. So,
Exactly.
let's get back to the labor thing for a minute. Uh, what should restaurants be doing, rather encouraging and managing their customer or their employees to keep employee retention, because it's so hard to find new employees?
Oh, for sure. And restaurant work is tough work. And when you've got a lot of people aren't returning that had worked for you previously, so a lot of operators are finding themselves hiring people that maybe don't have a lot of restaurant experience. And I mean, if you don't have experience and you start working in a restaurant, you find out real quick it's hard work. So I think probably the biggest thing is to have an adequate staff on hand so that people aren't overwhelmed by the volume and the amount of work that they have to do. Also, training is huge. And if you have a good training program and you work with your people, that definitely helps with retention. And
Yeah.
then a lot of chefs, me personally, I get on the line with people and work with them. I know a lot of chefs, have a lot of administrative function and they spend time in the office and they do this and just kind of supervise. But really getting in there, especially when it's busy, and getting your hands dirty with your people, really can do a lot to get them behind you.
I have a client that has really taken a lot of steps to improve the employee culture, to make it more like a family. And his retention has been great. And actually, it's really helped him through the whole thing. So,
Oh, for sure.
but you're right. I mean, the times are changing. People have so many options of where they want to work. And I'm going to say want to work, because a lot of people just still aren't going back to work for various reasons. So,
We got stimulus checks, we got tax returns, and we got added unemployment benefits. So, yeah, I
actually,
think
I saw an article yesterday, I believe it was, that so many people are not going back to work because they fear COVID, yet they still don't want to get the vaccination either. So it's like, you can't win.
oh, it's definitely tough for sure.
Yeah.
And you also need to make sure that you pay your people properly. I mean, now is not the time to save on wages to pay. I mean, with the increased minimum wage, but you have to factor that into your business moving forward. And this is almost a great opportunity for a lot of restaurants to reset and look at their business model and retool everything, because I mean, we're starting to open up now, but for the past year, I mean, nobody really has a point of reference for what it used to be like as far as the consumer is concerned. So factor that in. But I do believe premium wages for good help is a good investment for your business.
I would agree 100% with you on that one. Dustin, last question. What do you think it looks like a year from today?
Who knows? My crystal ball's in the shop, Joe. Um, let's hope that the supply chain gets fixed and people start getting back to work. I do believe as the weather gets warmer, I mean, Americans have short memories. But I definitely think that the to-go third-party delivery system is not going away, even when and if we do get back to normal. So I think we still need to focus on, how to perfect that side of the business, and that's an opportunity for growth. I mean, you only have so many seats in a restaurant non-pandemic time. I mean, if you can grow your business by sending more food out the door, that's the only way to lower your fixed costs and your labor and all that stuff, is to increase your sales. So focusing on increased sales and systems and really taking advantage of the opportunity that's been given to us will probably be good. But I think it's going to probably be a hybrid where, we'll have dine-in business, and hopefully it helps everybody get out of the hole that we're in, because I mean, I feel terrible for restaurants that had to shut down for so long.
Yeah. Dustin, you just brought up a very good point that, you want to manage your prime costs as a restaurant owner. And everybody thinks of food costs, labor costs, all that kind of thing. But a large part of the reality is if you're driving the volume, all those numbers just fall into place. And a lot of times they don't think about a marketing expense because they don't want to spend the money. Yet, if you don't, you suffer over here. So.
For sure. Yeah, nobody went into business thinking about all the money they were going to save.
Good words of wisdom, Dustin.
Keep
Good
the
words.
focus on driving revenue, and the rest will fix itself.
Okay. Well, listen, Dustin, I thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us today. It's been enlightening, and I think a lot of restaurant owners can take a few good tips out of all this as we come out of COVID and a year from now, what it may look like and what you have to do in the middle. So I appreciate your time with us. Have a great day, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Joe.
All right. Take care. Bye.